And now here's part 2 of our episode.
Okay, but now the question is, wait, do we know all the different ways a chicken goes?
Cha, chi-cha, chi-cha, chi-cha.
There's one. Coo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Coo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
What's the other one?
Cuckoo-ca-cha. Cuckoo-ca-cha.
That's it.
There's one more. There's one more.
It's ba-ka-ba-ka-ba-ka-ba. Isn't that one?
Who does that one?
Doesn't Job do that one?
You
I don't
guys
even
are
remember.
expert.
This is
listeners. Write in,
people...
send letters in to tell us which chicken noise we're missing from Arrested Development.
We'll get the guys from Smart List. I'm sure they'll do this for Peanuts. Peanuts.
There you go. Oh man.
Can I give him some points? I'll give him 1,000 points.
Okay, I'll put that down.
I'm glad you picked that one. I think there might be another original track in addition. Isn't there one song called like Christmas is Coming or something like that?
Not original.
Not original.
It's not original. It's on the expanded edition.
No, it is a. I was looking it up today because I figured I should know a little bit of something about it. And no, it's like from a nursery rhyme. Yeah. Look, check. Wikipedia gets you on this. We'll help you out with this. I didn't know about that before. I thought I was with you. I thought it was original.
Yeah,
but no, it's just his jazzing up of this weird nursery rhyme. Really weird nursery.
Well, we should also tell our listeners that this episode is very well timed because by the time this episode is released, if you want to purchase the like ultra mega super deluxe special edition version of the album, I think the digital version had been in Spotify before this, but I guess they found some of the recordings or something that they didn't know where they were, and so there's some like outtakes and whatnot, but there's like a super mega special edition that is now available for physical purchase for your holiday season. So there you go.
Perfect.
Tyler, what we haven't really covered yet is the fact that, like, yes, Jason did start playing this album at the end of August, and I worked in an office with him, and I mean, we're talking every day. Really? Every day. It played at least once, usually twice every day. But you're right. Also, too, I remember like when you would get really stressed out, it would be just again and again and again and again, nonstop. But I feel like, wasn't there another like jazz musician? Didn't you listen to like Alison Krauss a lot too during that time period when we worked together?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I was. I listened to a little bit of this is embarrassing. Say Chick Corea. At that time, you may have heard me listening to Bill Evans, speaking of piano.
Yes, that's what I remember too.
Was it Portrait in Jazz? Was that the one?
Everybody loves Bill Evans.
Everybody digs Bill Evans, right?
Digs, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So let me see if I got this straight. You, every year, just for the benefit of our listeners, every year, starting on your birthday, Jason, August 24th,
that's right.
You start listening to this album, A Charlie Brown Christmas. Is it once a day plus? It's at least once a day?
I have to confess, it is no longer once a day. There was a period of time that it was. It was mostly when I was working with Mike, but it's not his fault. It was just a really stressful job.
Sure.
So I think those probably 5-8 years that I was working there, yeah, it probably is every day. Now it's not every day.
Okay.
It's and frankly, it is. I hate to tell you this, I hate to share it, but it is just part of the whole Christmas mix. I mean, I listen to Christmas music starting August 24th.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty much every day.
So I'm not your therapist, but so what do you think this is about? Have you? I don't know. Is it just like? Because I totally get it. I mean, for me, Christmas music, I am never mad when I am the kind of person, I'm never mad when I hear Christmas music, even when it's out of season, because I'm like, it's anachronistic right now. And there's something funny to, referring to what we were saying about Arrested Development and why that song is so well used in that show, just associating Christmas music with a different time, like Santa on the beach, hilarious, right? Anytime you see Santa on a surfboard, hilarious. But like, what do you think this is for you?
I think this is not interesting to your listeners, but I'm going to tell you anyway. No, I think, all right. So first of all, you need to know that I'm a Jew, good Jewy Jew,
Amazing.
and
Yeah.
and so never
The
got to
plot
celebrate.
thickens.
The plot thickens. Never got to celebrate Christmas as a kid, right? You know,
Yeah.
it was always Hanukkah and very bad music with Hanukkah, if you listen to it.
Mhm.
And then my sister married a guy who was not Jewish, and I started when I'm probably 10, 11 or so.
Mhm.
Started going down to visit his family here in Maryland, weirdly enough, every Christmas, and those were some of the most wonderful times of the year to me. And so Christmas time and I had never experienced that sense of calm and peace and, you know, goodwill towards men, I guess. I don't know. I'd never experienced it as a kid, really. It was always, oh my God, where's the matzah? Everybody run, run. It was very, very Jewish. And so there was this lovely restrained Goyish kind of celebration of the time of year. And I think also then as I was getting older, certainly when I got into college and then into graduate school, I remember one Christmas break in graduate school because it never was important for me as a Jew to go home for Christmas. I
Mhm.
remember spending I was in grad school in Santa Barbara and spending an amazing 7 days completely alone. I'm a theater person, total introvert. How many of us are like that? Probably a lot.
Probably more than you think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And being able to like turn everything off
Mhm.
and just spend 7 days alone. And this was in Santa Barbara. The classical music station played 24 hours of Christmas carols without interruption, right? And I just was like, this is my heaven right here. And then I guess I would say the last thing is that Christmas is the only day of the year. Well, Thanksgiving is another one,
Mhm.
pretty much. I mean, if we're in the theater business, you have no day off.
Right.
You're always working, and the people who work for you are working on Saturday night. I mean, here it is. We're Thursday night at 8 o'clock. We're talking right now as we're recording this, and I've got two shows happening in
Mhm.
3 minutes. So somebody's going to text me if there's a problem. But Christmas Day, nobody can call you. Nothing,
Yeah.
right? There's no shows. You can totally turn off the phone. Anyway, I guess for many, so there's lots of reasons, right? That Christmas is weirdly a wonderful time for me. And the music of it, especially um, the more classic music of
Yeah.
it. And I certainly, this jazz album is as for me, it's as classic as Silent Night and blah, blah, blah. So there you go.
I love that, Jason. Oh my God. I think that's exactly what our listeners want to hear. If I may be so bold, that's
I
the heart of it.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I hear what you're saying too a lot about like the classicness of it because I mean when Christmas comes around, my favorite Christmas songs are not, with the exception of Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
like that.
Everybody's got something about Mariah Carey.
But see, even her song that's become classic now to me. Like, so I think that's why. Like, but I don't like, I don't want to hear NSYNC singing Christmas carols. But
Mm.
I am instantly put in the mood of Christmas when the opening, like the first few notes of Nat King Cole singing the Christmas song come on. I mean, I'm there. Like, I'm just, the world changes and suddenly it's snowy and there are Christmas lights everywhere. It's something about the classic
Mhm.
classic versions of things makes me feel like Christmas in a way that pop music does not.
Mm.
There was a Christmas in your past, I'm sure, that was incredibly great and special, and there were certain songs that were playing at that time that are still played now,
Mhm.
and that will always bring you back to that moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter how many white Christmases you've actually gone through,
Yeah.
but maybe there was one that was really special, and you took a walk with your mom or your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend or your whatever, your dog
Mm-hmm.
in the snow, and you know,
I think my sister is also. I shout out to my sister Lauren Robinson, who is is cut from the same cloth as you. She is she's a year-round Christmas music person.
Yes, Lauren.
Yeah. So, and for us, I think I love that your story is about it seems like your story with Christmas music is a little different, right? You have, for so many of us who were raised celebrating Christmas, particularly in a religious capacity. I was raised Catholic, and there's a nostalgia associated with for childhood, but having that nostalgia for a period of time in which you're establishing independence and almost it sounds almost subversive the way that you speak about it, which is not usually the words that we would put with Christmas music, probably.
My subversive Christmas issue. You are you said you weren't going to be my therapist on this, but I think you just began. What are you doing next Thursday this time?
Disclaimer, my sister is a therapist. I just play one on TV. There's no credentials here, and I would never presume to therapize anyone. I do have to say we have a great Christmas music story in my family, or at least I tell this one because in the town that my dad grew up in, Quincy, Illinois, we would go there for Christmases, and we would go to midnight mass a lot at St. Mary's Church. And there was a woman in the community who was distantly related to, or maybe not even that distantly related, I can't really remember at this point, but to the person who wrote Silent Night, the original German composer of Silent Night. And she would sing Silent Night at midnight mass in German. And I have these very haunting memories of it, being a kid, falling asleep in midnight mass, and this woman singing in German, which could be a nightmare in some situations, but this was magical. I think about it every year.
I remember when I would never nominate these albums because now when I listen to them, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I listen to it all the time. But when I was really into Christmas music, which was when Mike and I were working together, I don't know if you ever heard of the Anonymous Four, or we like to call them the Four Chicks. These four women who would do medieval motets, all a cappella, and tended to record them in churches and other really, beautiful places of worship. And they had a couple of fantastic Christmas albums that talk about that ancient music connection of, beautiful Christmas music from the 14th century, the 15th century.
We might need to send out some info to our listeners. That sounds great.
The Anonymous Four. They were great. I'll sometimes listen to them.
In usual circumstances, we've asked our guests to nominate an album they believe is perfect. And then we don't define the word perfect for them. And so we ask them to say, what criteria do you use to determine that this album is perfect? Now, I did kind of foist this album upon you, but I'm willing to bet that you could make a good case for why this album is a perfect album. Am I right? Do you think you could?
I think I could try. I could certainly try, but yes, I can certainly try it. I don't know that I could do it in 60 seconds.
You've been doing it for going on 40 minutes now, so you're doing a pretty good job.
But I probably would be reiterating some of the things that I've said. I mean,
well, we could also, if you wanted to, I mean, like something we haven't talked about yet with this album, because I mean, it's our podcast, we can go whatever route we want. So, like, if you want, we could also talk more about what's so great about this album musically. Because I know I feel like you really want to talk about how this waltz that Vince Guaraldi can cut. I feel like we got to talk about that.
I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I honestly, again, it wasn't until you mentioned to me that you mentioned that you wanted to talk about this on the podcast that I became so aware of how many waltzes he has created in this jazz vernacular. It's just stunning. I mean, on this album, it's skating, it's Christmas Time Is Here, but it's the Great Pumpkin Waltz, it's Rain, Rain, Go Away, it's any number of his other compositions. I'm not enough of a musicologist to be able to tell you how cool that is, but it just feels cool in my bones that, I feel like I'm before I was born in the 60s, hanging out in San Francisco, like listening to a waltz at the Hungry Eye in a jazz club and being like, yeah, play it you hep cat, or whatever it is that they would say.
In the parlance of their times.
There's just something great about it. And I think, and Mike knows this about me, is this has to do with me as an artist or a person who supports artists, is that I have a real, I find taking classic forms and reimagining them for contemporary audiences is something incredibly satisfying to me. It's something that I've done professionally all my life. And when I meet, not literally meet, but when I encounter other artists that are doing that, which I would have to say, Vince Guaraldi, I mean, you would not think that like you want to sit around and listen to a waltz at a jazz club in 1965 San Francisco, but I think that's pretty amazing to have done that. And he does that then throughout the album with, I don't really want to listen to Drummer Boy, but My Little Drum is pretty fabulous the way he makes that happen, right? And Greensleeves, what a fantastic rendition of Greensleeves that is, and O Tannenbaum, and I think just the way that he reinvigorated the classic Christmas music for what was then a contemporary audience is amazing. And then the fact that it has now itself has now become classic, that's pretty cool.
I will also say there's something about him recording this in 12 minutes from my house, 12 minutes from where I currently am in Glendale, California. I'm in Glendale, California, is where the first part of this album was recorded.
That's amazing.
At Whitney Studios. I Google Maps it. I could ride my bike over there right now and then go to the Whole Foods. But something about him recording this in California, but it becoming this iconic document for the cold American winter and the cold American Christmas season, and the snow and skating on a frozen pond when he recorded this in LA and San Francisco, I think is a beautiful juxtaposition.
Well, listen, that's the great, first of all, we all know that much of the best Christmas music was written by Jews, right? We know this already.
Oh yeah.
And then, here's the other thing, right? Let It Snow, fantastic piece, written in the heat of a New York summer, hot, humid New York summer. They're sitting around like in some apartment sweating, and they're like, God, wouldn't it be great if it would just snow? And they wrote Let It Snow. The weather outside is frightful. I mean,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's right. And all you ever think about is snow when you hear that song.
I have to say the fact that a Whole Foods is near the recording studio, that does not go with the Charlie Brown Christmas world to me.
It does.
I feel like if there were a general store that you went to go pick up a loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter, like then yes,
and a pack of cigarettes.
Well, I guess that too, yeah. Just out of curiosity, Jason, if I had given you the option to just bring forth an album that you believe is perfect, that has nothing to do with Christmas, is there something like that you have that you would say immediately?
Wednesday morning, 3 a.m., Simon and Garfunkel.
Nice. There has not been a Simon and Garfunkel album nominated yet. You'd be the first if you brought that one.
I mean, this is understanding that my knowledge of full albums is definitely limited to the 80s and before. Album 1700, Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Why is that embarrassing? That's not embarrassing.
We don't believe in guilty pleasures around here. Just pleasures.
Good.
Yeah.
And then I guess I would have to say The Stranger, Billy Joel.
Nice. That is an excellent album.
It's a ripping album.
Those are all excellent choices.
All right. There you go. So I guess I'm not as much of a musical idiot as I thought.
I do think though that this album might be up to double check my facts, but I think this is the oldest album that we've covered thus far.
I think it's got to be.
I think before this it would be either Tapestry or Blue were the other two that we covered. But let's get your take on this question though. Joni Mitchell's River, is it a Christmas song?
No, because I don't listen to it at Christmas.
Okay.
Wow, that's a really good reason. Mm-hmm. I listen to it at Christmas, not because of Joni, usually because my mom is a huge fan of Sarah McLachlan, and Sarah McLachlan has a cover of it on one of her Christmas albums.
Oh yeah, very good. I meant to get I have never gotten a Sarah McLachlan the Christmas album. That she has more than one.
I think so. I think there's maybe two, but it could just be the one.
I've been meaning to get it, but I never did. Well, maybe it'll become part of my Christmas repertoire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tyler, should we check the scoreboard? I think it's time to check the scoreboard.
Yeah.
You also didn't tell me there was competition in this podcast.
You're only competing against yourself. I mean, come on.
Right. This is late capitalism. Everything's a competition. But you've made a sterling case for this sterling album, and I will recount the points that we gave you. Taking it from the most recent, I gave you 1,000 points for us trying to name all the chicken variations from Arrested Development, which we're probably still missing one, right? I gave you 12,000 points for your reasons for picking the standout track, being that it's perfect and that it encapsulates the spirit of the album and its association on Arrested Development. Then we have 9,000 points for the Peanuts aren't the Peanuts without the music. Strong point there. 500 points I gave you for Beverly Steubenhouse. Wherever the younger Steubenhouse is, we're thinking of your mom, and glad you gave us LA Law's theme. I gave you 600 points for Taylor on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof, excellent album. Taylor, we love you. And 3,000 points for calling yourself a stunted shrub of a music fan, which I take issue with now, having talked to you. 600 more points for saying that when Vince Guaraldi was your age, he had already been dead for 7 years. You got 600 tree saplings for Vince Guaraldi's last unfinished album being It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. 4.5 out of 5 sprigs of holly for Michael's recounting of Vince Guaraldi and this album. And you gave me 5 sprigs of holly just for being able to roll my R's. This is the case you've made. It's a lot of points. I'm not going to tally them all up. All I know is that it's a lot. But now we come to the final judgment. Michael, you've heard the case that Jason made. 'Tis the season to be jolly, my friend. Tell the listeners, is A Charlie Brown Christmas by the Vince Guaraldi Trio, is it a perfect album? Does it go to 11?
I mean, what a dick move it would be if I told him to talk about this album and I said, never mind. Of course it is. Of course it is. Yes.
Yeah.
I am so glad that you came on to talk about this album. I can think of no better person to have shared this album with us. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I miss seeing you and getting to like talk to you and catch up. We'll have to do like a real catch up after this whole episode comes out. Well, we have one more thing we got to do, which is we've chosen a standout track. And so we gotta tell our listeners what we've chosen and play them out. So Tyler, which track have we chosen?
We chose Skating because we had to choose Skating, and I'll tell you why. Michael texted me, and this is what he said: "No matter what happens, we're playing Skating." And I think that sums up why. That sums up how definite this was as a choice. I think it's atmospheric. I think it's joyful. It's light. All those things about you saying, like there was something you mentioned earlier about this restrained warmth to some Christmas music that I also, that sort of phrase makes a lot of sense to me relative to this album. It makes you feel like a kid again. And it makes you feel like you're skating along on a frozen pond, even if you've never done that. It puts you right in that space.
I mean, so many Christmas memories. This song just reminds me of Christmas. It sounds like it's snowing in the song. I don't know how they did that. Also, there's that. It also just sounds like they're skating. Like I can't separate the image from the special of them skating on that pond and the snow falling. This is Christmas. The song is Christmas, and it is. And I didn't even realize it was a waltz until Jason brought that to our attention. I mean, I know it's going in 3, but yet again, I didn't think of this as jazz. I didn't think of the song as a waltz. Like it's just this album transcends. Is what happened.
Yes, good. Give him some points for that. How many points? A few sprigs.
100 sprigs for you, my friend.
That's a lot of holly.
That's a lot of holly, baby. Vince Guaraldi would be proud. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, Jason. Lovely to meet you.
Great to meet you, Tyler.
I hope that we get to meet in person someday. To all of our listeners out there, this is our last regular episode of we're going to have some fun some fun end of the year content coming up for you. But happy holidays, everybody. Hope all your families are doing well, and stay safe and stay happy. Take care of each other, you know?
And thanks for joining us for 3 seasons of the podcast. Rest assured, there are already plans for season 4. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Much love. Happy holidays.
Bye.